please take your seats. We have some amazing panelists lined up for you. Please take your seats.
Why don't you invite the panelists up? We'll ask everyone. Mama, item.
So, hope you all enjoyed the lunch. We tried to keep it refreshing and light. I know it's an afternoon session, but still. A very quick question to all of you. How often do we look up to our leadership for workplace etiquette and workplace hygiene and workplace culture? Very often, right? I mean, I do look up to Sanchit for that. That defines our first topic of the panel. The role of leadership in shaping a healthy workplace. And moderating the panel, we have Ms. Rupini. She is the head of human capital at ULU. So I will request Ms. Rupini to please come up on the stage. Please give her a huge round of applause. And I will hand it over to her from here. She will be introducing the panelists.
Thank you, Shreya. Saurabh and I were just discussing that we are not villains, so we are probably not as interesting, but I'd really request it to be very nice if you can just come forward. We try and make it engaging for you guys. It would be very nice if you can occupy the front seats. If I can request you to do that, please. Thank you very much. Thanks, Pascal, for this opportunity. I'm just going to quickly introduce the rest of the panel today. I have Saurabh Mukherji with me. Saurabh, please come on stage. Saurabh is the Dean of IIM Bangalore, and he also is a professor and is an expertise in org design, organizational design. I have with me Sanchit, of course, who is the co-founder of Pascal, sharing his thoughts with us again. And I have the Global Vice President of Human Resources of CleverTap with me, Zishan. I'm going to just pass the mic to them to give you guys a quick round of introduction about themselves, a little more than what you know about them. Quickly about me, I am Rupini Raman. I head human capital at ULU Bikes. Relatively a health conscious person. I'm also a dancer. I do my riyaz every day. So yeah, that's the other side of me that not many people know about. Yeah. So over to them, just for a quick round of introductions before we begin.
Hi. My name is Mukherji. I have been teaching at Bangalore for 21 years. Going part teaching at Bangalore. But I am a very avid sports enthusiast. Let me keep it at that. So good to come and discuss the issues around health in the context of companies.
I am one of the co-founders of Pascal. Apart from Pascal, I love to play badminton and spend time with my 1.5 years old son.
Hi, my name is Zishan. I head talent management for CleverTap. 16 years in the space. Super passionate about diversity and inclusion and social work. I run a foundation of my own that works for underprivileged and HIV positive kids for the last 11 years. So that's a little bit about me.
Great. Thank you very much, everyone. So I'm going to just start the panel discussion by taking a step back and kind of gathering an understanding from the panelists about what do you think a healthy workplace ideally looks like, both in terms of mental as well as physical well-being. Saurabh, maybe we could start from you.
Okay, so a healthy workplace for me would be an optimum amount of stress. No workplace can be without stress, and a little bit of stress is good for life. It's good for performance. So it should be functional. It should not be dysfunctional. And apart from that, the easier stuff, people should be very collaborative. People should be happy that they are spending their time with colleagues. You've got to fight with your colleagues, and there is no doubt about it. But when you end the day, then you should be friends, and you should always have this ability that maybe catch up for drinks or go and play football together. So I think that's what. So a general disposition towards optimism, happiness, but workplaces are workplaces. So grapple with that.
Very nicely put forward, Saurabh. I think it's such a simple statement yet so powerful, right? Workplaces are workplaces, grapple with it, but at the end of the day, being happy. That's nice.
For me, it's fundamentally it's a trust-first culture. So where you trust each other at first go, from manager to junior person to colleagues. If there is trust is the most important currency. What I feel. If the company has a trust-first culture, that means even if the manager is not going to office because there is a trust between manager and the junior that the junior must be working, right? So you don't need to be like micromanage because you trust your colleague, right? So first culture brings a lot of flexibility also. You can allow people from work from home as well because you trust them that they are working from home. So I think fundamentally I feel that to answer your question is to create a trust first culture.
Very nicely said, trust first.
Yeah, so I think in my opinion, every Sunday evening, I'm sure most of you would relate to, there's a slight bit of discomfort that we have, right? The environment is, it's pretty dark and you think that, oh, next day is office. How many of you are able to relate to it? Almost, right? So I think true definition of a healthy workplace is when you are not scared or worried waking up on a Monday morning and walking into a place where you feel that it's a safe space for you to discuss. There's somebody there, you're not being judged. I think that to me in simple terms is a really healthy workplace. So in the night, if you're sleeping and you're dreading to go to a workplace the next day, it's time for you to rethink.
Okay. So I'm moving to the next question now to Saurabh, maybe we'll start from you here again. What do you think are the key leadership traits that would eventually, let's say, lead to a very healthy, positive workplace? And how can, and do you think organizational culture somewhere impacts, it being a negative workplace or a positive workplace or a healthy workplace?
Great. I think you have connected two very important things. One is leadership and the other is culture. Because what we have noticed is that it's the most important task of a leader to set up the organizational culture. And if you want to distinguish between a leader and a manager, then actually the managers do a lot of complex things. They will set up processes, they will do the hard stuff. But when you become a leader, I think that's what is the most important part to do because that's probably one of the toughest things to do. So now how do you set up a culture in an organization? And what does culture really mean? The culture means that what are those values which we stand for? What are those values which will not be compromised even when we are going through the toughest of tests? That's what the test of culture is. It's easy to say that we are very employee oriented, we are very customer oriented when things are going good. But it's only when you are under stress that you are tested and you have to make hard choices, then the culture of the company or the values of the company becomes clear. So now when we want to build a fitness-oriented culture, or if we have to be talking of that fitness and health is valued in this company, then the leader has to be a role model for that. There is no doubt about it because quite like children, employees don't do what they are told to do. They actually do what they think their leaders are doing. Right? And that's what all parents have also realized, that the children think this is what Ma is doing, this is what Papa is doing, and this is what I need to do. So there is absolutely no doubt that you have to be a role model standing for fitness and health. But it should not stop there. I think a leader needs to communicate consistently the importance of it. So for example, if the focus is on health, then are your strategy meetings also keeping time for discussing health? If you're not doing that, then that just means that it's a side activity, not so important. And that's what gets picked up by the others, right? That how important it is in the context of the organization. The third important thing to keep in mind is also the recruitment process that we have. So yeah, I think human behavior is very difficult to change. So you can change a person a little bit here and there, but if you want a fitness-oriented, health-oriented culture, then it has to come very strongly in your recruitment parameters. This is not to be surely, I mean, there are the dangerous side of it that if I feel somebody is not so healthy, I will not recruit that. I'm not talking about it. You have to balance it out. But is that other things remaining constant? Can you let out a message to the world that healthy employees are the ones, or people who are fitness oriented are the ones who will work for our company? Other things constant to be fair and transparent. And then once you get the people in, there are these different processes of socialization, orientation, where I think all of these are used to build a company culture. The stories, the rituals, the myths that we propagate, all of them have to talk about health and fitness, and it's the leader who has to orchestrate the whole thing. So it's a difficult one because, finally the leader is there to meet the strategic objective of the organization, and all of this that you do has to fit into that strategic framework, right? Because this is not a health club, this is an organization, unless you're having a health club that's different. Right? So you have to do all of that stuff and still meet your numbers, still be profitable, still go and sell your products. But that value has to be embedded in almost everything that we do, and the leader is the most important person.
Thank you, Saurabh. That was really insightful. In fact, like you said, leaders do need to walk the talk. Not just that. In fact, I have a question to the audience because I did see a lot of HR folks. How many of you are able to actually bring up employee health regularly as a part of your board meetings or quarterly catch-ups or your annual catch-ups? Is that something you're able to? That's wonderful. Which organization is that?
This is Retro. We have the after school.
Oh, lovely. No wonder you guys do that. I think I personally would admit that we definitely do have a long way to go, and sort of very good point out there. I think this is something that we all probably need to eventually start doing. Great. Dishan, my next question is towards you. You've been in the industry for more than almost 2 decades now. I want to understand from you if you've seen any kind of policies or procedures that you or any other organization has implemented in terms of making the workplace more healthier, that has really helped, and how has it actually impacted the overall organization's productivity or well-being? Any kind of policy or procedure?
Sure, I can probably begin by sharing more insights on CleverTap, the company that I currently work, and probably the last couple of companies that I've worked, CoinSwitch and Intuit. I can give you small examples that has really worked. At CleverTap, we've divided this into different segments of wellness. One is your social part of it, where most of the events, etc. happen. The second is the physical part of it, where most of the fitness-related things happen. We have a cricket league, we have a badminton league, and multiple other things. And then your emotional wellness, which talks about your mental health counseling and things like that. One great initiative that we have is, which we do a couple of times a year, is CleverTap Fitness Challenge, where we ensure that mandatorily all the leaders take part of it. They form teams. You have great participation, and it's like a month-long team activities where they take steps, they do joint fitness challenge, they eat healthy diets, etc. These are all added into your points, and the top points generally kind of win. And we see our CEOs in the top list most of the times, and that's how in subtle ways you kind of try and build engagement. I can give you CoinSwitch examples where I was heading the HR for 2.5 years. What we did, and this is one thing that HR leaders here can take home, we ensured that we created benefits and offerings based on an employee's life cycle. When we say life cycle, it's not your hire to retire, it's those moments in life that matter. You join a company, you get a goodie. You accept an offer, you get a goodie. You join a company, there is another goodie. You're blessed with a boy or a girl, and you get your maternity, paternity benefits and things like that. important milestones, right? When you lose a family member, the CEO used to call the employee on that day, express condolence, and we ensured that financial assistance, money, went to the employee's account on the same day, saying the last rites or the funeral rites are on us. Employees remember how you made them feel, and some of these benefits can go a long way to kind of help and make a huge difference. We also must realize two things. One is we all talk about engagement, participation in engagement activities, etc. But when do we do engagement activities? We do most engagement activities after working hours. That's where employees want to go back and spend some time with family. Then you expect them to open the laptop and conduct webinars on mental health, which is very contradictory, right? You're not able to spend time with your family members, etc. So the real engagement is when you get your employees to close the laptop and spend time with family. And family members are a huge decision makers in people's life. You know, I won't name the company that I was part of, but I was working at around 8:30, and I had my son, 3-year-old, who stood next to me for like 15-20 minutes. And I was so engrossed in work. Then I looked at him and I asked him after the call, why are you looking at me? He said, I wanted to just wish you good night. Sometimes you don't realize in middle of work that you're not able to actually devote time for your family members, right? And this is not a great example at all. So the real wellness health tip that I have is incorporate wellness or around family members or people that employees care for. Like at CoinSwitch we had pet insurance benefits, we had OTT reimbursements, we had fitness, Intuit which sponsor for your child's education and multiple other things. So look at engagement not just for an employee but for important members who influence an employee's decision to stay in an organization.
Very rightly said, Zishan. Very clearly, employees will remember how you made them feel. Very well put. In fact, I remember this example, right? During COVID times, if you all remember, we all worked from home. And to be fair to our families, my grandmother's room got taken away by me. And my kid's room was taken away by my partner. At the end of the day, it was affecting the entire family, right? And I was telling my mother, hey, don't switch that mixie on right now. I'm on a call. And our CEO sent a personal thank you note to every family, stating that, hey, listen, you put up with all of this for us. And today that organization is a unicorn. And but yes, I think these small gestures here and there definitely do make a difference to employees as well as how the families see us as employers. Very nicely said. Sanchit, I'll move to you now. Being in the healthcare industry and providing services for multiple organizations, I think it would be nice if you can throw some light on the correlation between, let's say, employee health and organization's productivity. And have you seen improvement in employee health, increasing growth and productivity of an organization? If yes, if you could share some examples, that would be great as well.
Yeah, so I think we are also in the discovery phase. How can we as a company facilitate and link employee health to productivity? I mean, it's but more importantly, like fundamentally, how we visualize, or I personally am visualizing, especially for my own company, is that I mean, when you're running a company, you see like what are my input metrics and what are my output metrics. So if revenue is my output metric, so I feel employee health is an input metric to it. If you just have to think from monetary perspective only, right? So I think there are ways of calculating it, like how can we make employees more productive, and not only that, it leads to cost savings as well in longer run, because if your employees are healthy, they are coming to office, they are more productive, and it leads to more. I mean, if you just have to be at the end of the day, you just have to think from monetary perspective or very capitalistic perspective. But at the end of the day, I also feel we are humans, we are going to die one day. Why don't we just be healthy, and as a workspace we enable that for our teams so that they stay healthy and happy as well. So in my company, I mean, you have a cricket challenges going on. So in my company, what we have done is that we have twice a year badminton tournaments. We have cricket tournaments as well. we just started like desk yoga, 30 minutes once in a month. During office hours only. As you said that after office hours it's tough to get people, right? So probably just before finishing the office or before starting the office. But in a way it does create some positive vibes, and more importantly when people are so they are going through these challenges, they are interacting cross-functional as well. So overall it creates a happy, healthy workspace, and also it leads to eventually one day I want to create a calculator how it impacts your productivity.
We always talk about ROI as
Yeah.
businesses, right?
But yeah, if we quantify then it will be amazing, right? So and every CEO will start investing in it, so very proactively. But what I feel is that from a long-term investment perspective, I don't think you need a lot of budget for this. You just need a good intent as a leader, right? So, and as Sir mentioned that I think if we have the intent as leadership, and if we have the awareness that employee health is the input metric, of course we try to measure it. I mean, but it definitely qualitatively is. So I think it definitely leads to much more higher productivity.
Well said, Sanchit. At the end of the day, we can all talk about finance and ROI, but we all know it for a fact that healthy employees are happier, and happier employees are definitely more productive. Ishan, what are your thoughts around this in terms of correlation between employee productivity and happiness?
Absolutely, and before that, I think Sanchit and his team has a tough job in hand. Being a company focused on fitness, they anyways need to keep doing it as a practice, but good to know that. I think there's enough data, Rupini, to prove that there's a clear correlation. Having said that, I'd say that organization probably need to leverage and maintain that within the workforce. One of the things I see, and again different opinions around it, but one of the things that I see as a huge challenge is, look, we've so much got into enabling modern culture, etc. We're forgetting a lot that used to happen as a traditional work setup. Like if you go to those small shops in rural India, you will see those people the owners open the shop early in the morning, do a small puja, clean the place. There's natural ikigai in relationship, right, that's built. But look at the modern workplace now. We start our day at 11:30. That's where leaders need to actually set examples. So we miss large part of our family life because the kids are already in school when you get up. Then when you reach back home, they're already sleeping after school. So you naturally don't get time. So I think building that discipline, and it's top down, and like Sanchit mentioned about leaders walking the talk, building that discipline, ensuring you have a perfect timing, appreciate the personal space employees have outside of work. It's a culture that needs to come in top down, and once you're able to do that, you're able to kind of maintain it in the long run, is what I think.
I think very well said. I'm going to hold on for that, that piece of ikigai. I'm going to come back to each one of you with that. But I'm going to remember to come back, okay? But in the meanwhile, Saurabh, I have a question for you. We spoke a little bit about leaders being the enablers of organization wellness as such. My question to you is, do you think leadership have a key role in promoting long-term health habits in employees, whether it's nutrition or regular fitness or stress management? And how do you think, and I'm looking for something tactical here, and how do you think leaders can actually integrate this in the daily lives of people as well as the workplace?
Good, you mentioned the term tactical. I use the term hack actually. So yes, I think a couple of things here. One is that I have a sense, because I have been looking at this space very carefully for a while and I'm personally very interested, that there is a lot of action orientation, project orientation, but not too much of long-term thinking in this space. Right? So one has to be careful about that. And why does this happen? Because fundamentally human beings are both greedy and lazy. And why are we so? Because if you go back to the very basics, as an organism we need resources, and we need to get resources at the least possible energy. That's what your brain has been wired for. Right? So every And this is not only true for human beings, it's for every organism, right? So when you look for food, you are calculating that, or an organism looks for food, they are calculating that, is it worth spending the energy to get that food? Because net, I should be a gainer. And human beings also are structured to store energy, because our ancient, forefathers had long periods of starvation. And so that's the evolutionary reason why we love sweets like I do, or fatty food, because all of these store energy. And why we are inherently lazy, because the brain is always giving you signals that don't spend energy now, right? You have to conserve. Now, if you take this as a reality, which is what is working in your mind all the while, and believe me, nobody has yet figured out how this mind works. Because just to give you a sense of it, as I speak, there are 1 billion neurons firing in each of your head. Now I know that none of you have any concept, as I don't, of 1 billion. Right? Forget about million. Right? So that's what it is happening at the back, and we don't know. So that's why what is our basic nature is so immutable. Which means what? Which means that, we can't be villains so much. I mean, we can't look at him and say, wow, this guy works so hard, he should also be like that. Each of us are very, very different. I mean, I woke up at 4 a.m. today in the morning, feeling good. But the point is, the person sleeping next to me was not waking up because she is very differently made. And I can't expect that just because I am waking up at 4, I will make her wake up at 4. And because that will come and impact her day completely differently. So I think we must keep that as in mind, that it is easy to excite you for an event, but it is very difficult to make life changes. And for that, we have to be very realistic, that what is possible, what is not. So let me go back to very fundamental theories of motivation here, and then we can apply it. Right? I will simplify. Many of you are from HR, you will do a much more complex thing, but I'll very, very simplify it. There are 3 things that people need to be motivated: purpose, choice, recognition. Remember PCR, okay? If you remember PCR, you would have cracked 90% of it. At least you would know it, you would not be able to crack it, right? So what do? We have to create a purpose for people to be healthy. It's tough one, but you have to convince. Because the point is, most people intellectually understands that we need to be healthy. Almost every day, Times of India or any newspaper will tell you, right? This is good to have good food, boiled cabbage, run 10 kilometers a day. I mean, there's no dearth of knowledge. It's about converting the knowledge into doing. So that's the point, that how do I create a compelling purpose in front of people so that they are healthy. The next important point is we have to give choice to people. I like to run, I will run. You like to do yoga, you will do yoga. Somebody likes swimming, somebody likes walking. We have to create an environment, and that's why the organization truly becomes an enabler, because you have to create a space where people can have their choices in a way they want to become healthy. And finally, recognition. We all are slaves of recognition. Small pay, big pay, etc. Should not be completely taken away by that. The recognition should not be becoming an end by itself, but it always helps, and I think we kind of all know that. Now, some of the hacks. One is, any advice coming from experts is vehemently discounted. Alright, so please ensure that somebody who is an expert, senior, giving an advice, it will come and it will go. Advice from people who are like us is more valuable. People normally listen to their friends, and then socialization is very important. Is my social circle motivated to do that? Right? And that's what is the toughest job. The second hack is positive is always better than negative. If you tell people not to eat sweets, that's a bad thing to do. They will not listen to you. But tell them something positive, right? Tell them if they love something, doing, eating, etc., then that might motivate people to do that. And is there a third one? Yeah, no, I kind of heard this one as a community. So in sum and substance, understand the difficulty, try and give a lot of choice to people what they want to do. And I think 4 things are being said for a healthy life. I guess you all know that, but let me summarize you for that. Nutrition, we are all aware of it. Fitness, sleep. Sleep is the most underrated variable in making you healthy. Now, companies are structured that we have to work long hours, but it is good to have proper reflection on that how do we sleep, and please keep in mind some of us are morning person, some of us are evening person. So does the company have flexibility to adjust for both of these four people, these kinds of people, and then finally socialization. So, long answer.
Lovely answer, I'd say. In fact, very well said that you need to surround yourself with the people who are going to kind of motivate you to do what you want to do. That's very nicely said. I'm going to try this PCR at home. I have 2 teenage kids, and if it works on them, then I'm sure it will work for any of us. So I'll just probably close with this question. Come back to Ikigai. So Sanchit, let's start from you. In fact, let's start with the audience, right? How many of you are able to kind of, let's say, do your Ikigai moment of exercise or wellness for your own self at least 4 times a day? Just a show of hands, that's amazing. Just one? But how many of us want to? 4 times a week, sir. 4 times a week. 4 times a day, absolutely not.
4 times a day, only millions someone can do.
Totally. So yeah, 4 times a week.
5 days a week.
Wow, that's amazing. And what do you do?
I do Zumba classes, yoga.
Very nice. Anybody else does something else?
I'm actually a licensed Zumba instructor, so I conduct classes. I gym twice a week, I walk.
You are funny kind of.
So about 6 days a week, I'm active, 1 day is resting.
Man, you're an inspiration. Amazing. How many of us want to get there? That's nice. Good to see at least people wanting to get there, right? People who go up there. So I want to understand what's your Ikigai moment on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. I know you said playing with your son, but that's out of syllabus. But what do you do apart from that?
So, I mean, as Medin mentioned, like, I was one of those guys who used to play badminton, I mean, professionally for a while when I was young, but then while building companies, you get so passionate about building the companies, you forget about yourself. I did that same happened with me, but now I realize like I'm getting old. I'm not old, but I'm aging fast because of a lot of pressure you have, right? So what I did was that I pushed myself to have a yoga trainer, and 3 days a week I do yoga.
Wow, that's really nice. And about age, I think Saurabh and I are the ones closer to retirement here, don't you?
That's right, I'm not old.
Okay, that's very nice. What about you, Zishan?
Yeah, sure. So I do inner engineering by Isha Foundation almost every second day. I also walk every day, 30 minutes of walking. But I think the biggest joy I get is a Manyavar ad which features Virat Kohli, where he says, sometimes doing nothing with family members is doing everything. Sometimes just doing nothing and sitting at home gives me the biggest joy.
Nice, nice. I don't know if there's any Bengali in the audience. There's something called laid in Bengali. Is that the right word? Doing nothing and just... That, I believe, is also some kind of a mental cure, and it's... Yeah. So I believe that is also...
Yeah, but we wish Virat Kohli does a little better than that.
than laid.
Yeah, because he isn't doing much these days.
I think he all... So sort of what do you do? What's your Ikigai apart from laid?
Yeah, I mean, well, so I'm an amateur runner. So yeah, so I train with a group called Runners High. And a good platform to post track, yeah. I mean, I did my 50 kilometers last Sunday.
Wow. We're impressed.
Training for the Mumbai Marathon. So that takes all the time, apart from my regular work and I have the family protect.
Great, wonderful. It's so good to see you guys walk the talk. Like, that's what we started off with, leaders ought to walk the talk. So good. Amazing panel discussion. I had a great time personally and a lot of learnings for me. I'm going to open the questions to the audience. And if you have any questions, I think Shreya is around. She'll probably pass the mic around. If you have any questions for the panel, they'd be happy to answer.
Hi, good afternoon. So I am a founder of a millet-based startup. And I've also worked in corporates earlier before I became a startup founder myself. One thing that I observed was that the companies would provide facilities such as gyms or other fitness for sports, etc. But when it comes to food, that is highly ignored. Whether the kind of food that's being served in the cafeteria or the snacks that's given out or the pantry, the kind of food that's stocked there, there's a lot that's still needed. And without a good diet, the initiatives on fitness and health, they're not complete. So what do you think, or in some of the leading companies, do you have any experience of what people have been doing to help their employees eat better at workplace?
Yeah, I can take that. I can answer the why part of it. See, end of the day, it's a choice, right? And it's also perceived as it being too pushy. So many organizations don't get into, no, we'll only keep diet food. Then people would say that 50% of them will never consume that, right? There's a reason why jalebis and gulab jamun sells in the Zomato ad. But I think over a period of time, calories consumed, initiatives that is done internally, watch out for the food you intake, etc. Certain things that I've seen organization do. In all honesty, we've not done that, but we've seen organization focus more on that. Off topic, many organizations focus a lot on food wastage from a sustainability angle than putting efforts into making sure that they are diet conscious and things like that. The subtle things that I've seen organization do is mention the calories that each food has, so people are more mindful eating, is what we assume.
I could probably, add to what he said, right? First of all, I must acknowledge it's a brilliant question, right? Do we really focus on employee nutrition in our cafeteria? And as an HR head, I would tell you that I'd love to, but I'm not able to. The reason is multifold. One is practical reason. When I have a bunch of stomachs to feed, everybody's palate and preferences are different. Second, when we're talking about cafeteria food, it's quantity cooking. And I'm able to influence my vendor only so much in terms of ensuring that it's healthy. More than healthy, I want it to be safe for the employee. So I'm looking for safe kitchens, all of that ahead of health. Small little things we definitely do. For example, have fruits in the cafeteria, or fruit salad is a part of the snack menu and all of that. We bring in multiple vendors who provide fresh juices. We also have healthy options when we talk about snacking or food. But I think as an organization or as a head of HR of a smaller organization that is wanting to get there, I definitely see this as one of the challenges that we probably will take some time to overcome or probably get better at.
Hi. My name is Nataraj. I'm into consulting, CFO services and HCM expert. I work with corporates like EDP, Amazon, Infosys, Deutsche Bank. I have a point of view to share and you can add. I feel that what needs to be fixed is work culture than the health culture, because if you fix the work culture, provide empowerment and flexibility and trust, if that is done top down, then there are organizations with all the facilities, but people are not able to use because they have work, or manager is not encouraging them to use. There is a cultural activity going on, but they say, no, you finish work, whether you participate or not, I'm not actually bothered. So these kind of things are there. So that culture has to be fixed, is what I feel.
I think all of us somewhere acknowledge that, not somewhere, I think absolutely acknowledge that. I think, you know, it's a fact again. People leave managers, they don't leave organizations, right? Do you want to add something to it, Sanjit, in terms of, because you do run an organization, so.
Yeah, I think I mentioned earlier as well, so totally aligned with what he's saying, that it starts from the intent of the leadership. And Sir also mentioned that we need to create that culture where it's trust first, and probably allow people to have initiative and have the intent to promote health.
Yeah. And I mean, I always say this, right? Bring your whole self to work. If you're not one of those managers who's allowing your employees to bring their whole self to work, including all their problems, including all the issues that they face, then you have some way to go in terms of your own development. I think that is the best care any manager can give to an employee at the workplace. So, lovely questions, Rishmi.
We'll take one last question.
Thank you. Yeah, so I run a small setup where majority of people are working from home. I'm hearing all this conversation. I'm trying to wonder how I can implement those at that level. Starting a day, again, maybe to a certain extent is within the control. My control, maybe manager control. But how we finish on time, that it's a no-brainer, very difficult to close my day also, and for the employee also very difficult to guess. And how to bring all these things in their day-to-day culture. Working remotely, they have no connection with any other colleagues. They don't know when they're entering office there is any equipment where they can go and spend 5 minutes or not, or they can go to cafeteria and eat healthy food. And the question is coming, how to visualize all these things in a remote setup?
Can I ask you a counter question if I
Yeah, of course.
am allowed to? I've always wondered if remote workplaces are far more productive or probably happier than non-remote workplaces. Do you think this is a fact or a myth? And
Yeah, it's very easy to say it depends. Before Corona, after Corona, different perspective. So we were working even when Corona was not there, work from home. Obviously Corona taught everybody work from home, that is the word. But we were working work from home since God knows for how long. But in terms of productivity, again, based on my personal experience, when you go, say, 7 to 8 years and above, okay, the productivity is much more. When you're slightly below in terms of overall experience of the employee, then productivity is slightly less in the remote work with the way we have anticipated or rather seen that. Because youth, very easy for them to waste time. Okay, seniors maybe they're preferring to work remotely because of all the family connections and all the challenges they are facing. But youth, when they get free world, they realize, hey, nobody's really monitoring me, so I can do whatever I want. And by that time, then efficiency really goes down. That's our personal experience. Nowadays, people also saying is whether work from home or work for home you are doing. Okay, that's again question. Work from home or actually work for home you are doing. And that becomes very difficult to really gauge. So I am trying to understand and wonder how to bring all these benefits to my employee definitely.
great. I mean, thanks for sharing those thoughts, right? Can I request you
So
to take it up?
I don't know whether this is the solution, but in a very similar situation, we tried two things. One is we made health checkups mandatory. Now, I don't know how many of your organizations have mandatory health checkup. I come from an organization where health checkup is optional. And so most of my colleagues, when I talk to them, they just don't go and do their health checkup, right? So we made health checkup mandatory. And we told the leaders, or rather the managers, to compulsorily have discussion with people at a certain frequency. In our case, it was at least once a month. We have a discussion about, because there was the other problem which this organization was facing was mental stress. And so have a discussion about physical well-being, mental well-being, not about work. Now, how much effective it is, we don't know yet, but those are two things which we actually did. And well, people were a little bit happy at the fact that people were actually talking to them about health fitness, what do you do, where do you go, etc.
Thanks, Saurabh. In fact, that's another question for all of us here as well, right? I was reading in some survey that by 2030, more than 10 billion population is actually going to be working remotely. World's changing. It's going to be a much more global workforce. We are going to have a lot of freelancers, gig workers, all of that from the next generation coming up now, right? So it's a question for all of us to actually answer, right from people who lead organizations, to founders, to healthcare practitioners, academicians, to figure out what is going to be a good mix of a healthy work style or work-life balance for such kind of remote workers as well. We'll probably keep it for another discussion. I had a lovely time. Thank you very much, everybody who joined us. Maybe we should take a picture together. I'm sure the audience wouldn't want one. We are in the middle, so we'll like we said.
And also in the meantime, I'll invite Manish on the stage. Yeah. So we have mementos and goodie bags for all our panelists.
Yeah.